Bet you've heard of Portal 2. But you probably think that probably didn't need a lot of marketing to get that out. Everyone was looking forward to it. The Portal 1 was a big hit, and Portal 2 we had talked about was coming, so that was an easy one, right? Let's talk about that. I got some stories about that one because when I talk about Concord being left out to dry by Sony, what I'm talking about is like they didn't do the work. Now, marketing at that level is sometimes money, sometimes it's attention, sometimes it's just going on the road and grinding it out. And they didn't really do that so that you were aware it was coming. We had a wake up call in Portal 2. So now Portal 2, if you remember, there's an ARG that's kicked it off. And it's really good, like radio signal stuff you put together. Jeep put it together, is really good. And then Game Informer, front page article and cover. Gabe won some award at GDC, and at the end of it, there's some Portal 2 thing. Go to E3, giant Portal 2 coverage, gets covered by a bunch of magazines, more front pages. Everybody knows about Portal 2. So I'm going to go do a press tour in September. And we're going to talk about Portal 2. And I'm like, hey, I'll talk about the co-op and all of that kind of stuff. And like, what's new since E3? Because everyone knows about Portal 2. So I learned two things during this event. So now these events are what they are is you start at 10 a.m. and they're like for bloggers and they're like lower end press. This isn't like, hey, the big fancy party. This is like, we're just grinding it out. But it's one of the things you do. And so we go 10 a.m., we start, and every 10 minutes there's a new press person in. You get no bathroom breaks, no food breaks. You just figure that out. And so we do that from 10 to 6. We then go to the airport. We eat at the airport. It's exotic. It's pretty nice. And then we go fly to some place. And if we make it in time, we go to the hotel bar and drink and then go to bed and then repeat. And you do that for a couple weeks. It's actually okay. You get in the rhythm of it. So, but with that, I learned two things with travel through Europe. Is one, Tad gets stopped at every border crossing. Every single border crossing he gets stopped at, pulled aside, special security. They let me take his bag always, though. Like, it was weird. But whatever. No idea. Super nice guy. But that's what happened. Two, no one there has heard about it. No one knows Portal 2's coming. Now, it could be the fault that just Europeans are bad people. But it was also just that it didn't sink into them. It just did not get on their radar because of all these other games that were coming. And so all of my press that I was ready to talk about was out the door. And I was talking about, like, it's Portal 2. It's a game where you have portals, right? Like starting from zero. Now, some people had at least heard of Portal. Some people knew Portal 2 was coming. No one knew co-op was coming, which is, I thought I was just going to be talking about co-op. So, like, it just shifted that whole thing. So we come back from the event, and I'm like, hey, this is bad. This is bad. Like, do the math of where we should be. We should have that, and we should be just talking about, like, highlights of stuff. But Portal is a hard game to talk about in a way, because you show the portals, and you're like, yeah, I've seen that before. What's new? And you're like, well, it's all Portal 2, which is really good, but... So we come up with the idea that we're not going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about weird science and crazy science. And... it's already too late this year to do anything. So when the new year rolls around, let's get a bunch of stuff ready. And that's where all those Cave Johnson talking about the boots and all of that comes from, was that meeting where we're like, we've got to do something. And Doug's like, hey, can you go talk to the animators? And Muraski is doing the music and see if we can work something in. And the animators were like, yeah, animators were great. They were great. Those animators on that project were amazing. But we're going to make all of these ads, right? And so Jay and Eric wrote the ads. Different people actually came in and did some of them, like the Valentine's Day ad, which is the fifth one, really. It's the bonus one. But like, so all of those are going on. Me and Eric go back out on the road in January, and is colder. But this time it's, hey, this is only Portal 1. And so that is then they get to see this big announcement about Portal, that we're showing it. And then they just come and do interviews with us. Eric doesn't know the secret, and that's talk as little as you can. And I talk too much. But like, I was always done first because I'm like, get out of there before you say something that you regret. But so we're just doing that. And then we go to PAX East, and we're doing this thing where PAX East, Eric's doing the press, Josh Wigger, who's project lead's doing the press, and me and Jay Pinkerton are in this booth. People are falling out the back of the booth. It's we're surprised we didn't get sued. But we're just showing a video, and then we're talking, doing a little intro, and then doing a video. And then at the point you get bored, right? And I'm daring people with swords to fight me to the death because I could have taken them, nerds. But like, we are out there just continuously doing stuff like that. There are continually new videos being posted. There is TV spots we're doing. We do bus takeovers. Like, we are doing a ton of work to put it on the tip of everyone's tongue that they want Portal 2, right? There's the whole then ARG lead up, which gets all of these indies involved, right? Just to like so that we can get it released earlier, but we can't really release it earlier because we made a deal that we can't. But it was still a lot of talk about that game. And that's what we thought we had to do because we had this wake up call in September that people didn't know Portal 2, even though it's effing Portal 2. So when you're releasing your new game like Concord, you got to do a lot of work. You got to be out there. You got to be talking to everybody. You got to go push it everywhere, right? It's a lot of work. Sony didn't do the work. Sony didn't spend the money. They didn't buy the TV ads. I don't mean, fine, don't buy TV ads. That's not what people do anymore. But there is a way you do that kind of game now, and that is long, free, extended betas, early access, build it up, and all of that kind of stuff. And they just didn't do it. That costs money. That costs time, which is the most expensive thing. And they just didn't do it. And that's what I'm saying, where Sony left them dry. It doesn't make a difference on the game. They were stuck, no matter what they made, with how Sony marketed it, how they promoted it, how they engaged with the community to build it out, and then pricing it. So, yeah, that sucks, man. Because that is the nice thing of working at a place like Valve, where someone like me in fall can freak out and people go, well, you freak out a lot, but we think this is a valid time to freak out. Let's freak out as well. And then a bunch of other people just jump in and do really cool things. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's all credit. No, it's all the credit to them. They did amazing work. Like, seriously, those videos, those 4 videos, and then the 5th, the Valentine's Day one. I think thinking the Valentine's Day one, I rewatched it just now, and I thought I remember there was blood. Maybe we just got in a big argument if there should be when the diamond comes down, if there should be a blood spurt there or not. Like, those are the kind of things you argue about. And it's like a 3-day argument. You don't want to talk to the other person anymore. You're very passionate about it. But everyone loved working on that game and loved being part of that game. It was a really fun team. And so we all cared and wanted it to resonate and play. And so everyone was out there doing as much as we could to get the word out. It just takes a lot.